Welcome to Scrapbooking Made Simple. Today we are going to work with distress oxides and water and create a beautiful scrapbook page. For this project you will need some plain cardstock, some good quality decorative cardstock. So you want to use like a mixed media paper. If you don't have the thickness in your decorative cardstock, you could always use a clear gesso over the top before you go on to the using the distress oxides. So we're going to cut our photo mats first just so we can place them and have an idea of where we're going to add our distress oxides. So with our first piece of plain cardstock, cutting 3 photo mats at 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches, and then on your decorative cardstock cutting the zip strip off and then cutting it down to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So this will sit on our first piece of plain cardstock to create that border. So just want a nice thin border around, and then placing the photo mats on. So my original thought was putting them in a diamond shape, and it's completely up to you. If you were going to do this, you'll see at the end that I end up changing that, but this is just the start and have an idea. So just marking with a pencil where those photo mats are going to sit, and that's where we're going to add our distress oxide colours. So just adding direct to paper distress oxide colours. I've chosen to use all blues. So in the distress oxides, I've used Jet Sapphire, Faded Jeans, Blueprint Sketch, Tumbled Glass, Mermaid Lagoon. So pretty much all of it, and Salty Ocean I think was the other one as well. So just 6 colours, direct to paper, right across the page. Straight from the pads, and once they've added on, you're going to lift that up and then going to spritz with water. Now, as I tried to show you what I was doing, it didn't work out as well to start with, so I do recommend having it straight up and down to let that ink flow straight down and creating those inky drips, leaving them onto your craft mat. So just spraying and spritzing with water until that ink moves and you're happy with what is created. Now, what is left on your mat is a beautiful amount of inky mess, and you do not want to just wipe that up and get rid of it. So grab some white scrap cardstock from your stash and pick up that ink and just cover that ink, doing the smush and the swiping, picking it all up and covering that cardstock. Great way of using up some scrap paper, and it makes some beautiful effects on that paper there. So I've covered one bit of scrap, and I've still got ink on my mat, so I've gone in and grabbed another piece of decorative cardstock and picked up as much ink as I possibly could, using it up. So this is where you could also add onto your art journal pages or any extra cardstock that you want to use up. So once you have finished doing that, you can clean your mat just with some paper towel to pick up all of that water. With those pieces that you've just picked up all that colour on, set those aside to dry, and we are going to dry off our first page. So just using a heat tool to dry off all of that water so that we can continue on with our scrapbook page. And once our page is dry, we will start assembling the scrapbook layout. Once you have dried your layer, sitting that on top of your base cardstock and then adding the photo mats just to figure out where they're going to sit and how it's going to work. All sorts of different ways you can add those on. But as you can see, it is quite bare, but still beautiful with all of those blues. And what I chose to do, which was a happy accident as I was cleaning up the board with all those inks that were left over, I have dried off those spare pieces of cardstock and die cut some seaweed and coral from the stamp and die set from Couture Creations. So these are from the Tina Alette Seaside Girl collection. And I've just used the coral and the seaweed die and gone through and cut out lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of them. So hopefully you may either have these dies in your collection and you can follow along, or you can use anything that is going to create a beautiful flow underneath those photo mats. So enjoy die cutting out all of the coral and the seaweed or whatever you are using to create your page, and we will come back soon. Once you have finished die cutting all of your elements out and just adding them underneath the photo mats in layers, coming down the page, I just felt like it needed something else on the page, so I die cut one of the flat seashells from the same Seaside Girl collection and stamped the shell on. So it was probably easier to stamp first and then die cut it out, but I chose to do the most difficult way, of course. I'm trying to line it up. So just adding that extra element down the bottom on the page, and then deciding on a title and what went with this particular layout, and I ended up choosing one from the Seaside Girl collection. It says timeless as the ocean, endless as the sea. And then just split that up, and I cut that up and added that on with foam tape on the bottom as my title. You may choose one of the other title boxes from that collection or something completely different. It's up to you as to what you add to your page. So I've chosen to trim those down and have them put on the page in the separate sections, all separate together, trying to remember exactly what the sentiment was. Yeah, I think I got it right, so that was good. Just laying that on, figuring out where I wanted to put that on the page. This is a really fun part of creating a scrapbook page. It's just working with what you have and figuring out where everything is going to work before you stick anything down. I loved the look of this page. I was so happy with it and couldn't wait to add some photos onto the page. And I found these beautiful photos of dolphins splashing in the water, and of course they didn't fit on the diamond shape. It didn't work. So I changed the orientation of the photo mats, but still having them overlap a little bit and having them going horizontal along the page. And once I added everything on, I sort of felt like it needed something extra in that section up the top. So I used the swimming sentiment from the sentiment boxes from that collection. So once you have figured out where you want everything on your page, all that's left to do is to adhere everything down and put everything together. So go ahead and finish off your layout, and we'll come back to you soon. Once you have added everything that you want to your page, you can adhere the back piece to your layout and everything is complete. So we hope you have enjoyed this class and we look forward to seeing you next time.